Welcome, everybody. My name is Kathleen Jasper, and we are doing the Praxis 5205 today. I'm a little low. Hang on. Let me go up a little bit. Sorry. Okay. All right. So today we're working on the Praxis 5205. You might see my camera here for TikTok. I'm trying to go live on TikTok for you guys so that you can get the content lots of different ways. But today we are doing the Praxis Teaching Reading 5205. I'm live on TikTok, YouTube. I believe I'm live on YouTube. Let's see here. Let's go to my channel. I am live, yes, indeed. And I am live on Facebook and I'm live on the webinar. So if you are just now coming in, go ahead, let me know in the chat that you can hear me and see me. If you're on TikTok, welcome. I can't do anything. You just have to watch my video here on my screen. We are going to go through all of the important skills you need for this particular exam. And we are going to go over strategy, and I'm going to really hit that constructed response. I have 3 constructed response questions for you today. So whether you're taking the 5205, the 5206, the Foundations of Reading, the Texas STAR exam, any reading exam, this is going to help you. And we're going to focus a lot on that constructed response because most of you have to do some sort of a writing task for your particular exam. All right. So that's what we are doing today. Let me know in the chat that you can hear me and see me. I think people are just now starting to come in. We had over 2,000 people sign up for this particular webinar. So many of you need this particular skills and things like that. So let me just go over a little bit today of who I am and what I do and why I'm here to help you very quickly. My name is Kathleen Jasper. If you're new here, let me know in the chat. Nobody's in the chat right now, so let me just see. Let me see if I can just put that in there. Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me. Okay, so anyways, my name is Kathleen Jasper. I own Kathleen Jasper LLC. And for the last 10 years, I've been helping people pass their teacher certification exams and get the jobs they want in education. And so today I'm doing the Praxis 5205, which is all about the teaching reading, which is also my main content area. I was a teaching reading, I was a reading teacher. And so I focused a lot of my instruction on teaching reading and all of that. So I know a lot about this exam. I know a lot about the questions they're going to ask you. I know, all kinds of different things and nuances about the exam. I know all about how they're going to ask you these questions, what you need to do for the constructed response and all of that. And so today I am here to help you with that. Later, I became, a biology teacher. I taught English. I always taught reading. And then I moved into curriculum downtown at the district office, which is an amazing job if you can get that. And I worked with big testing companies to build common assessments for the district. So I know a lot about the different types of questions they're going to ask you on this exam, how they're constructed, the patterns that they use. And so today I'm going to help you with that. All right. So I don't see anybody in the chat right now. Let's see here. Turn on chat. Let's see. Is the chat working? Maybe not. Maybe it's not working. And also, I'm going to talk to you about lots of strategy, working backwards, thinking like a test maker, not a test taker. Oh, there we go. I guess I just had to turn it off and turn on. Thank you, Megan. Yes, it is working. Leslie, awesome. All the people are coming in. Wonderful. All right. So again, today is Praxis Teaching Reading 5205, 5206. It doesn't matter what reading test you are taking. These skills are the same. We're going to talk about the foundational reading skills that you need to know. We're going to talk about, more of the critical thinking that we're going to need to know about. We're going to need to understand how to apply them. And we are going to need to remember how to use them for that constructed response. All right. So if you signed up for this webinar, you got a free study guide, and that looks like this here. Oops, let's go here. And that looks like this here. So let me just zoom in. This is the free study guide you got. And again, it doesn't matter if you are taking this particular exam or any teaching reading exam, this free study guide is going to help you. There are a few questions here. And then I'm going to send you the constructed response. There's a constructed response here. But I'm going to do two different ones for our presentation today because I wanted to give you some different stuff. So you can use this later for your practice. I have two other constructed responses that we are going to go over today. So you have extra, and I'll send that in the email follow-up after the webinar. This is the actual study guide. So I'm pulling this up digitally. We do have it physically on Amazon. But as you can see, this one is much more robust. So for example, there's like a whole, like 100 pages just on the foundational skills and all of that. And at the end of each section, there are 10 practice problems. And so after, each section, let's just say this is now phonics and decoding. I go through all of the different things about phonics and decoding. And then of course, 10 practice test questions on that. Then at the end, once you get to the end, there is very detailed constructed response and an assessment portion. So assessment is a big part of teaching reading. We want to make sure that how do we know if our strategies are working? So there's a whole assessment section in this book that I highly recommend you really look at because this is going to help you with your constructed response. And then I have 20 assessment questions for that because it's so important and they're separate. I want you to see what assessment questions look like. Then we get into the constructed response, and I believe I have 3 constructed response. I have written so many books that I think I have 3. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yes, there are 3. Then there is a good words list. We're going to talk about good words over this webinar. We're going to talk about good words, bad words, how to zero in on good words on this exam, eliminate bad words so that you can be more strategic and think like a test maker. And then I have 2 full practice tests with, this test has 120, I believe. No, 90, sorry. I just made a 5024 study guide and that had 120 questions. So this one has 90 plus the constructed response and then very detailed answer explanations. So even in the free study guide here, notice how detailed the answer explanations are. When you are studying for this exam, please read these, even if you got it correct, because you might have gotten it correct on accident, and you really want to understand why things are right and why things are wrong. And so I try to do that very extensively in these very detailed answer explanations here. And of course, there are 2 full practice tests for the teaching reading here. Now, this is the paid study guide here. I'll show you where to get it. If you want to just use the free stuff, this study guide is awesome too. It only has it's got 15 questions and detailed answer explanations. A lot of people just use our free stuff. Tons of people just use our free stuff and they pass. Other people need more. And so I have more. So today you're going to get a lot, but you may want to check out some other stuff. And really quickly, I'll show you where that is as well. This is my website, KathleenJasper.com. We have an online course for the Praxis teaching reading. It's very in-depth. If you want to really understand how to teach reading, this will not only help you on your teacher certification exams, but it will help you on your exact classroom instruction. Okay. Now you can see here, I've got lots of videos for everything, then quizzes. And then, you can start the quiz and you go through and it's all online. And then of course, the video explanation for each quiz. So it goes through each content category that way. And it comes with the study guide. So you get the study guide when you buy the online course. And if you're attending the webinar today, you're getting a 20% off coupon for that in the email that went out already and that you will get as a follow-up. The other thing we have are these audio courses. Everybody's really liking these audio courses. It's a less expensive alternative, and I recommend you pair it with the study guide. It's great if you love podcasts. I love podcasts. I love learning on the go. This is great. We're going to link all of this up in the follow-up email that goes out to all of you, and it's all over my website and everything else. You're also going to get a 20% off coupon, and any free stuff I talk about today is going in that follow-up email along with the replay. So if you miss anything today, if you have to leave, if your internet goes down, don't worry. We are going to send you the email with all of the information along with extra constructed response and this video and all of that. So Don't worry about it. Okay. All right. So we are live on TikTok also. And let's see here. Good morning, Anna, Megan, Christy. We've got people from Indianapolis, Indiana, Baltimore, Virginia. Awesome. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm sure there's a bunch of New Jersey people here. We have a lot of people from New Jersey. Somebody's asking about the FORT, the Foundations of Reading. That is going to be covered today as well. This webinar will help you. All of my teaching reading stuff will help you with the foundations of reading. It's the same skills. It's the same stuff. It's just a different name on the test. Here's something you should know about the testing industry. In education, it's governed by two major companies, Pearson and ETS. Your state will pick either Pearson or ETS. Sometimes they'll pick a combination of both depending on what tests they need, okay? If you are an ETS person, you're taking the Praxis exams. If your state chose Pearson, you're taking the Foundations of Reading, you're taking the MTELs. They have a different suite of tests. Please understand, the tests are very similar. If you're taking a reading test in Texas called the STAR, the Science of Teaching Reading, STR, that is made by Pearson, and it aligns very similarly to the Praxis teaching reading. They all have the same skills. It's phonemic awareness and phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, and writing. Fab Five of reading plus writing. Okay. And we're going to talk about that today. So please remember, I'm going to recommend my teaching reading resources, whether the free or paid, for any reading exam. And you can ask people about my stuff for all the exams. They've used my books for lots of different exams, and it's helped them because it's the same skills. Allie says, Missouri just picked ETS. Yes, Allie, good point. ETS will now be doing the tests for Missouri, and you guys just got a brand new elementary education exam, which I have already made a study guide and program for. We stayed ahead on that one. That was the first time where I anticipated a new test and didn't have to rush to get it out. So I have brand new resources for Missouri. I'll show you where to get those, but they're on my website. It's the 7001 is the elementary ed. And they basically took the teaching reading and put it in the front of that particular exam. So you're in the right place today. If you're from Missouri, you're in the right place. All right. Didn't pass the fort by 1 point. Question. I am not a standardized test taker. All right, Jennifer, lots of people are not standardized test takers. You may have missed a little on the writing. If you get a little better on the writing, it'll bump that up. And again, let's try not to say things to ourselves like, I'm not a math person, I'm not an English person, I'm not a test person. It just means that we haven't been successful yet in those areas. And today I'm going to show you how to do it. You're going to be so much better today, Jennifer, when you are done with this webinar. And if you decide to get some additional products or go to my YouTube channel and find more, you're going to be better. Okay. All right. I've been teaching for the past 3 years and just finished graduate school. So frustrating. I know. Okay. Jennifer is saying she didn't pass by 1 point and she just finished graduate school. Here's the thing about these exams. They don't necessarily assess your ability to be an amazing teacher. They assess your ability on one day, at one time, one measure. And we do it to students all the time, right? Students have to take a reading test at the end of the year, a math test at the end of the year, and their entire year is basically graded on that one exam, right? So it's part of education. It's the only way to assess this many people at once. There's no way to really do a qualitative measure. You got to do the quantitative standardized test. It's the way it is, but I'm going to help you get through it. Okay. All right. So I see you guys are talking to each other in the chat. Awesome. Help each other out. You guys are all, in the same boat. I was in the same boat with you. I became a teacher after being a permanent substitute. I had to take a bunch of teacher certification exams. I had to cram. I was a new mom, the whole thing. I get it. So, we're going to help you today get through it. All right. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is the way this particular exam and all of the teaching reading exams are structured. All right. Typically, the teaching reading exams focus on the foundational skills of reading called the Fab Five of reading. I have lots of videos about this on my YouTube channel, and I cover it extensively in my online course. So the Fab Five of reading our phonemic awareness, and I lump phonological awareness in this, and we're going to talk about it in a second. So that's the sounds only in words. When we first begin to read and understand words, we are thinking about the sounds only. So when I say the word bat, you hear b-at. You don't know there's a B and an A and a T yet. You're just starting out with the sounds only, okay? So Fab Five, phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, sounds only. You can do it in the dark. Then we move to phonics, which is letter sound correspondence, which means you have to see the word in order to figure it out. Letter sound correspondence. So for example, if I see the word make, I know that the A is long because it's followed by a K and an E, the silent E. That's a code. That's part of the English language. It's a rule. And I know that because of phonics. All right. Letter sound correspondence. You have to use your eye, your eyes, not just one eye, unless you only have one eye, but you have to use your eyes. Okay. The next is fluency. Now, once I've figured out my phonics, now I can read strings of words together. I can read a sentence. I can read a passage. I can read a chapter. I can read a story. I can read a book, right? So that's fluency, moving through the task with prosody, that's inflection in your voice, timing, intonation, stopping at periods, pausing at commas, moving through the text without having to sound out every word. That's fluency. And if you've ever taught reading and you're watching a student struggle every word in a paragraph, you know how exhausting that is. We have to have that fluency in order to comprehend, because if we're sounding out every word, we're not figuring out the meaning and what's happening in the story. We're trying to get through every word. So that's why fluency is so important. Then vocabulary, sometimes it's lumped together with fluency in the same content category. And vocabulary is you're moving through the text and you're seeing words and you're understanding what they mean. And when you come to a word you don't know, you use context, good word, to figure it out. You read around the word, you figure out the semantic structures, the syntactic structures, and you figure out the word. If you still can't really figure out the word, you can look it up in a dictionary or hold the word down if you're using a digital application or a tablet to figure it out. But we try to show students how to figure it out in context. That's vocabulary. And then at the end of that, you have comprehension. When you've put all those things together, you have comprehension, which is the essence of reading, which is the highest level skill because you're using critical thinking, summarization, predicting, you're making pictures in your brain. We take this for granted a lot as readers because we just know how to do it. But students have to be taught how to do this. They have to be taught how to use their metacognition, how to think about their thinking. So that's why comprehension is so nuanced and it is so high level. But before we can get to comprehension, we have to take these steps along the way. So we start out with phonemic and phonological awareness, then we go to phonics, then we go to fluency, then we go to vocab, then we hit comprehension. Then after comprehension, we go to writing. And writing is, of course, expressing ourselves, which is a high level skill as well. Now, notice that there's a progression, right? So I want you to think about 3 things for this test. The first is explicit instruction. We do not expect students to just pick up these reading habits. We actually have to teach them explicitly. So we are going to teach phonemic and phonological awareness techniques. We're going to delete sounds in words together. We're going to isolate sounds in words. We're going to switch out sounds in words. And we're only going to do it by listening and speaking. We're not going to read the word. We're going to start off that way. That's explicit. I'm going to explicitly teach you phonics. We're going to go through diphthongs and vowel teams and R-controlled vowels or R-controlled syllables, I should say, and open syllables and closed syllables and schwa sounds and all these crazy things. I'm going to teach you that explicitly. I'm going to teach you fluency explicitly. We're going to do repeated reading and choral reading. We're going to talk about good fluency and how we get there. And we're going to go on and on. So explicitly teaching these skills in isolation is very, very important. The science of teaching reading shows us that explicit instruction in these areas is best. For a while there, we were using like whole language approach, which you would just read with students and hope that they picked up on these skills. And we found out later that explicitly teaching these skills in isolation help to improve student reading over time. That's what the research says now. In 10 or 20 years, the research will probably switch the other way. But these are all very well-respected practices in reading. And so along with teaching students the love of reading and allowing them to just pick up a book and pretend like they're reading if they're little and reading to them and all of that, we also have to teach these skills explicitly. So number one, good word, explicit. Second good word, systematic. We teach it in an order. Now, I want you to be careful. Not everything in reading instruction is linear. Kids will move in and out of these skills, okay? They will start off with phonemic and phonological awareness. They'll go to phonics. They'll go fluency. They might have to go back to phonemic and phonological awareness. Not everything is perfectly linear when we're talking about skills, but we think of it that way because it's easier to understand, okay? So it's systematic. We teach step one, foundation, phonemic and phonological awareness, then letter sound correspondence, then fluency, then vocab, then comprehension. It's a system. It's a step-by-step process, okay? And then the last good word I want you to think about for this exam is recursive. We go back and fix skills up that we need to in order to move on to more complex skills. So we might be in phonics and we might be getting to more difficult words. I might have to go back and revisit some phonemical awareness and phonological awareness. We might be in fluency, right? And we're moving through the text and all of that. We might have to go back and revisit some phonics skills. Everything is recursive. And the writing process is definitely recursive. We write a first draft, we go back, we revise, we write a second draft, we go back, we revise, we go back and forth. That's recursive instruction. So those three words, explicit, systematic, and recursive, need to be on your mind when you are taking this exam. And I hammer this home more in depth in my online course and books and all of that. But for this webinar, think about that. Good words. Okay. All right. So now I can see you guys are all doing great in the chat. We got some new teachers, some veteran teachers, all of that. Awesome. We have people on TikTok and we have people on Facebook. And I think I'm on LinkedIn too, although I just don't like LinkedIn. I never check it. But if you're on LinkedIn, I'm probably there. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm going to work on the presentation now. Hopefully you guys can see this and it looks like you can. All right. So we talked about the Fab Five of, okay, good. We talked about the Fab Five of reading, and the first skill is phonological and phonemic awareness. This is sounds only. So if they're talking in an answer choice or a question about written word or reading a word or decoding a word that you're looking at, you are not doing phonological awareness and phonemic awareness. This is only using our ears and our mouths. You can do this in the dark. You could turn off the lights, not look at the book, and do phonological and phonemic awareness, okay? So, well, what are these skills? Well, these have to do with sounds in words. Now, phonological awareness is breaking the sounds up into big chunks. So, for example, in the word stick, I might say break up the word stick by onset and rhyme. That's phonological awareness. Onset would be st, and rhyme would be ick. The onset is the consonant or consonant cluster at the beginning of the word. And the rhyme is, and that's R-I-M-E, is the vowel and consonants that follow. Let me redo this because my handwriting is terrible. I'm trying so hard to be better at my handwriting, you guys. I even got something to go on top of my iPad to like make it more like paper. Okay, let's try it again. Stick. So this is onset, still bad, still doesn't look good. And ick is the rhyme. Okay. Now we go over more of this in my videos and stuff like that, onset and rhyme, syllables. This happens to be a one syllable word, so we wouldn't break it up by syllables. But phonological awareness is about breaking up the bigger sounds in words. Notice that we have two sounds here, really, st, right? And we have two sounds here, ick. But when we talk about phonological awareness, we're breaking up with bigger sounds. Now, if I said break it up by phonemic awareness, now we're talking individual sounds in words. So that would be s, t, I, k. The CK makes one sound. Now, I'm writing this out for you right now because I'm doing a presentation, but if we were doing this with students, we would just be doing it by listening and speaking. There would be nothing written on the board. I would say, how many sounds in the word stick? And the kids would go, s, t, I, k. 4 sounds. I don't have to see the word to do that. Notice that phonemic awareness is very nuanced. It's individual sounds in words, and phonological awareness is bigger chunks of words. That's why I make it an umbrella. Phonological awareness encompasses a lot of skills, breaking words up by a lot of different ways, whereas phonemic awareness is more nuanced. You're breaking it up by individual sounds. A lot of people believe that phonemic awareness is actually more difficult than phonological awareness because you have to hear these little nuances in words in order to break them up individually here. All right. So keep that in mind when answering questions. Now, here's the next one. Phonics. Next skill up. Phonics, you have to see the word. So for example, the letter C in the word cat, cut, caught, cable. We know it makes a k sound, right? But in sell, cycle, receive, and city, it makes a s sound. Why? Because there's a rule. There's a phonics rule. When a C is followed by an E, I, or Y, it makes a S sound. Same with the word make. If I saw this word here, I would know that this A is long because of this silent E after the consonant K. I have to see the word to know that. That's why it's called letter sound correspondence or phoneme grapheme correspondence. Phonemes are sounds, graphemes are letters, graph. You have to see the letter to figure out the sound. It's a step up from phonological and phonemic awareness. But you have to have phonemic awareness and phonological awareness. You have to understand sounds before you can start assigning them to letters. That's why it's a systematic process. All right, so let's have a look at the questions. If you have the study guide, the free study guide open, great. If you don't, no big deal. I'm going to jump around in that study guide a little bit and don't worry too much about it. I am going to project everything I do. You can do it later. You don't have to struggle to try to find your free study guide. You can get it later by clicking the link in the description, link in bio for people who are on TikTok. It's in my bio under free webinars. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, it's in the description. Click it. You can download it, but just focus on what I'm doing here rather than try to get all the stuff right now. Let's just have class. Okay. All right. So this is number 2. This is how I approach all of my exams. I think like a test maker and I work backwards. Let's look at the answer choices first. Identify the beginning sounds in words, clapping syllables in words, identifying ending sounds in words, deleting sounds in words. Notice I have sounds, sounds, sounds with only one difference here, clapping syllables in words. Think like a test maker. If all 3 have the same things and there's only one that stands out, that one might be the correct answer. It might not, but it just helps to kind of get to know these patterns in testing. All right. And there are tons. I see it all the time. All right. Let's have a look at the question. Which of the following would not be a systematic instructional strategy used for phonemic awareness? Well, what did I say about phonemic awareness? Sounds only in words. And I have sounds, sounds, sounds. All of those are skills in phonemic awareness. The only thing that is not are these syllables in words. Clapping syllables is a phonological awareness technique. It could also be a phonics technique. If you have the word written and you want students to clap, like for example, apple, right? You might have the word apple broken up on the board in 2 syllables separated by the P's, A-P, and then P-L-E. And you might have students clap those. It could be a phonics activity. It could be a morphological activity. Syllables go with a lot of different things. But let's just think like test makers and not make it complicated on ourselves. Phonemic awareness is about sounds, and I have sounds, 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 and we're looking for not. Therefore, B is the correct answer. You might say, well, that's easy. It is. You will see these patterns on all of these exams. It's just that you have not been looking for them before. Trust me, think like a test maker. I always say that in my study guides, in my videos. I even trademarked that little phrase, think like a test maker. Be aware of the patterns, okay? All right, let's have a look at number 4. So I'm skipping ahead in the study guide. I can't do every single question in the study guide and get to the constructed response today. So I'm going to do a little and then you're going to do some on your own, all right? So let's have a look at the answer choices. Work on silent letters, identify R-controlled vowel sounds, blend long vowel sounds with consonants, D, identify common vowel combinations. Well, I can't do anything here yet. These are all just skills, but so I know I'm going to be asked a question about skills. Let's have a look here. Students have mastered consonant sounds and short vowel sounds. All right, so words like bat, sun, cot, dog, right? Those are typically called CVC words, consonant, vowel, consonant. I go over this in depth in the course. These are spelling patterns. These are spelling patterns with using consonant, vowel, consonant sounds in words. It is phonics, okay? So a word like this would be bat. Notice consonant, vowel, consonant, and the A is short, and that's what they're saying here, short vowel sounds. Which of the following would be the most appropriate next step in the teaching process? Now, this is a big part of these exams. You have to understand the progression, and this is where it can be kind of hard for new teachers. Here's some things. And in the book, I have a chart going through the skills in progression for you, but let's just do it here together because you can kind of figure it out without that. A, work on silent letters. Silent letters is pretty advanced. Words like no, right? This comes later, this K and the N together, no, that's going to be, or way, the GH, those are more advanced words. This is probably not the next step to those simple short vowel sounds with consonants. Probably not, okay? Identify R-controlled vowel sounds. Again, very advanced. These are words like letter, R-controlled, bigger words, a little bit more advanced. I'm not doing it. I'm crossing it off. Blend long sounds with consonants. Okay, we went from short. Now we probably go with some long sounds, right? This one looks pretty good. I'm going to circle C. D, identify common vowel combinations. This is also advanced. Things like O-U, E-A, I-E, right? Those are vowel teams, or diphthongs, O-I, O-W, right? More advanced. This one takes us just to the sounds. Remember, that's a lower level skill. And so if I went from short sounds to long sounds, C is going to be the answer. Now, here's another pattern I want you to be aware of. Notice that when I break it down this way, you're like, oh yeah, go from short to long vowel sounds. That makes sense. They know you are not a seasoned teacher yet in reading, okay? So they're going to throw some hints in here. Be aware of the hints. Sometimes you get so wrapped up in like the question and it gets really confusing and you failed to see the hint. Make sure you can see the hint, okay? All right, let me just make sure. Yep, we are working here. I just always like to go back and make sure I'm sharing screen because all the time it goes off. Okay, now this is a perfect one to work backwards with. When you have these very long scenario questions, okay? And even the answer choices are really long. Work backwards because you will be able to eliminate bad words and zero in on good words. 90% of the time, you can grab the right answer without ever reading the question. I don't recommend you don't read the questions, but I have experimented a lot, and sometimes I don't even read questions. I just do the answer choices, and I can usually get it. When it comes to practice tests, when it comes to ACT, SAT, I just understand the testing industry so well. So I recommend you read the question, but do it last when you have this. Start with the answer choices first. Let's see what happens here. A, the teacher should have the student focus on spelling because spelling is phonics and phonics is a necessary part of comprehension process. Okay, it is. Focusing solely on spelling, though, is not the best situation here. But spelling is phonics and it is a necessary part of comprehension. I'm not going to circle it because I'm not in love with it, but I am going to put a little dot next to it because it could be the right answer. B, the teacher should have the student take a diagnostic test and then have the reading coach work with the student. B, red flag, cross it out. Anything that talks about having the reading coach work with the student is a bad answer. Do we have reading coaches? Yes. Do we love our reading coaches? Yes. However, on this exam, you are the reading teacher. You have to figure out how to help students who are struggling with reading. So reading coaches, asking the principal, bringing in outside help is usually the incorrect answer. And they'll get new teachers with this because new teachers are like, of course, I love my reading coach. She comes in all the time. Not on this test. On this test, you are in charge of the reading. Okay. C, the teacher should use a running record to record the miscues a student demonstrates during 1 minute of reading. Okay, like A, this one's okay. Fluency here. This is a running record, miscues. This is missing a little something though. I think if a student miscues, we should talk about it and scaffold instruction to help it. But C is okay. Let's look at D. The teacher should focus on fluency and automaticity strategies for the student because proper fluency and automaticity will reduce cognitive demand needed for decoding, leaving more cognitive space for comprehension. Oh, I love this. We have cognitive demand, the word cognitive in this answer choice. Remember, fluency does do that. When we can read fluently through a piece of text, we are freeing up big chunks of our brain. I mean, that's a metaphor that we're not actually freeing up chunks of our brain, but just think of it in that way so that we can comprehend and make pictures in our minds and predict and summarize. If we are struggling on every single word, we do not have the cognitive endurance to comprehend. That's why fluency is so important. D has a bunch of good words in it, but A and C are okay. Let's read the question. A student is struggling during reading. The student often stops when encountering high frequency words and tries to decode them. This interrupts the reading and makes it difficult for the student to understand the meaning of the text. Which of the following should the teacher employ? Okay, here is why A is out. Focusing on spelling and phonics, these are high frequency words. Typically, those are memorization and part of our fluency strategies. Now, there is a lot of research out there now that says you should not memorize high frequency words. You should actually teach students to decode them and show them. And I totally understand that. But on this test, that's not the way it's going to be presented right now. Okay. For high frequency words, words like the and have and little and people and just all the words you see all the time, we want those to be automatic, automaticity strategies. We do not want students to spell them, decode them, all of that. So A is out. C, running record here is okay, but D focuses more on fluency and automaticity. Running record is a fluency assessment, but we want to use fluency strategies. That's why D is the best answer here. Okay. All right, let's have a look at number 12. Answer choices. Encourage students to memorize portions of the text. No. Do we use memorization strategies for high frequency words? Yes. Memorizing portions of the text, probably not the best answer. B, encourage students to ask questions about the text. Good word alert. Yes. Questions mean comprehension, mean higher order thinking, mean critical thinking, mean cognitive endurance, mean metacognition. It's all the stuff. Yes, B, I love. I'm circling it just based on the words ask questions. C, encourage students to partner read the text. Do we like cooperative learning? Sure we do. I don't hate it. I don't love it as much as B. I'll keep it. D, encourage students to read the text for homework. Nope. Homework is usually a bad answer choice on this exam. For the exam, it's a bad word. In life, it's not. On the exam, extra homework is not going to help students who struggle. Just remember that. Cross it off. Here we go. Which of the following would be most effective in developing students' comprehension of complex text? Now, here's why this word most effective is so important. I get emails that say, I keep missing the exam by 4 or 5 questions. And the problem is, I think there are several correct answers in the answer choices. No, there is not. There is one correct answer, unless it's asking you to choose all that apply. The reason being is because it says most effective. Could giving students homework be effective? Sure. If you gave students a piece of text and told them to read it for homework like 3 times at home, are they going to come back and be better at reading that text? Yes. Could partner reading help with reading comprehension? Yes. But is it the most effective? The most effective research-based strategies is asking questions before, during, and after reading for student comprehension. Here's another thing. Comprehension is always attached to higher order skills like questioning, analyzing, evaluating, applying. Comprehension is going to be at the top of that Bloom's taxonomy up here. Down here, we have memorization, we have identifying, we have rote memory. At the top, the highest levels, comprehension, critical thinking, asking questions, analyzing the text. Very important to remember. All right, let's have a look at number 14. Okay, another big one. I love looking at these. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go here. Which of the following research skills? So right away, it's going to push me in the direction of research. This is a part of the comprehension section of this exam, also the writing section. Students need to learn to write research papers at a very young age. And usually it involves us showing them reliable and unreliable sources, like how to find good sources on the internet, things like that. So which of the following research skills is the teacher helping the students understand? Let's go here in the check mark. Where did the information come from? Is there a list of references? Meaning, is there a bibliography? Does the URL contain .gov, .net, .edu? Is the piece a primary source or secondary source? This to here seems like reliability of sources. Where did it come from? Was it a blog or was it an academic journal? Is it a primary source? Is it a secondary source? What about the URL? Is it .edu, .gov, a little more trustworthy than .com? And did the author use references? Typically, if there's a bibliography at the end of a book or something like that, it's reputable, right? If it's just a blog, somebody's opinion, remember this, it's not reputable, okay? All right, here we go. A, determining the author's point of view. This is not necessarily author's point of view. B, identifying the literary devices used in the work. Literary devices are metaphor, simile, onomatopoeia, usually used in literary text, not informational. This seems informational here. B is out. C, determine whether the sources are, here it is, reliable. C. D, determining the text structure of the work. No. A, B, and D are all kind of literary, although author's point of view can be informational as well. C stands out, and I didn't even have to read all this. I've got it right here. Now, I'll go back and read it just to check, but I'm telling you, you don't always have to get bogged down in these crazy scenarios. Let's read it, though. A 6th grade social studies teacher is helping students research information. Right there, I'm going to cross off structure, literary devices. Well, the text structure might be one, but literary devices is out because researching is not, you're not going to be concerned with metaphor. Okay. Using the internet to help students with the activity, the teacher models the process of finding information. Ooh, models. That's a good word too. If you see that in an answer choice, probably the right answer, modeling. Using electronic sources. Okay. So you can see here that here's the checklist for electronic sources. It's going to be about reliability. We have to teach students that there is misinformation out there. And we want to make sure that they bring that skill into their real lives. All right, let's have a look at this one here. A, the ability to adapt communication about audience, task, purpose, and discipline. Okay, right away, because I've studied my study guide, I know that audience, task, and purpose are good words when it comes to writing. When we are teaching students how to write, what to write, when to write, we need to know, who are we writing to? The audience. What is the task? What am I trying to tell them? What is the purpose? And is it math? Is it science? Is it, more for entertainment, whatever? A looks good because we're talking about writing. Let's look at B. The ability to use transition words to give writing variance and flow. Also good. Variance and flow is good. I like B, but audience, task, purpose trumps it. Let me just put a little dot here. C, the ability to use proper grammar and punctuation. C is out. Now, I'm very sad to say C is out because I am a grammar nerd and a punctuation nerd. But when we are teaching students how to write, this is not our focus. It should be part of it, but it's not the center of what we're trying to do. D, the ability to organize paragraphs so the writing has continuity. Okay, D is good too. I like A the best. Let's read the question. Which of the following is most, again, here we go, most important for students to consider when writing? Audience, task, purpose. This is step number 1. Who are we writing to? Why are we writing? What is the purpose and what is the discipline? A all day. B is okay. D is okay, but not as good as A. A is the correct answer. All right, I'm going to go back here, stop sharing. Good job, guys. I see you talking to each other and going through the stuff. Very good. Oops. So awesome. Any other questions you might have, throw them in the chat and I'll try to get them. So that's the multiple choice portion of the exam. Okay. Now we have the writing portion. Most reading exams have some sort of writing. Now, what they will do is they will start with a big scenario, or it'll be a set of data, and you'll go, oh my God, there's so much here. We are going to work backwards on the constructed response as well. Okay. The constructed response is something that freaks people out, but really, you want to make sure that you are pulling from all areas of what you've learned. So here's something I want you to understand. Let me share screen really quick. Okay. Let's go to my actual study guide. So this is the big study guide here. I'm going to do this because of the table of contents. Hang on. Okay. Here's something you should know. These are the main content categories on the exam. Now, even if you're taking a different exam, let me close this up and let me zoom in. Okay. Hopefully you can see this on TikTok. Okay. These are the main skills. The way reading exams are broken up, they're broken up by skills. And you can see here, Fab Five: phonological awareness, phonics and decoding, vocabulary and fluency, comprehension. All right. These are the 5 main skills. They lump together vocabulary and fluency for this test. Sometimes they're separated out. Doesn't matter. It's the same. For the constructed response or the open response or whatever you call it on your test, they're going to pull from these areas here. It's going to be either a phonological and phonemic awareness question, a phonics question, a vocab question, a fluency question, a comprehension question, or a writing question. Typically, students are going to be struggling in these areas here. Because remember, as a reading teacher, we have to fix whatever the problem is. That's our job, right? We want to make students better readers. So there's going to be a deficit in phonological and phonemic awareness, or a deficit in phonics, or a deficit in vocab or comprehension or writing. Your job is to identify the deficit. And usually in the data that they provide you, you can see it right there. Oh, they're all struggling with phonics. Okay. It's not going to be that difficult. Or it's a running record and you see that they've struggled with, ing endings in words or something. There's going to be a pattern, right? So it's going to either be an issue in sounds, letter sound correspondence, vocab, fluency, comprehension, or writing. So I want you to have a couple of go-to strategies for these skills. So let's have a look at phonological and phonemic awareness here. This is the big study guide. This is the one that I sell. Okay. So notice that, let me go here, different strategy. Okay. So here are some strategies for phonemic awareness and phonological awareness: blending, onsets, rhymes, segmentation, isolation, deletion, substitution, blending. There's 2 different types of blending. That's why I have it twice. But are working on compound words, breaking them up by compound words, identifying individual sounds in words, substituting sounds in words. So if there's a problem with phonemic awareness or phonological awareness, you can use any one of these different activities. Phoneme isolation, segmenting. Notice I have it all here. Grab 1 or 2 that you can really talk to and think about it. And if you get a question for your open response about that, use it. All right. And talk about why it's important. Well, let's just take a look. Substitution is important because it's a higher level skill. You have to identify the sound in the word that you're trying to isolate it, pull it off, and then put another sound in. That's high level. That's going to help students manipulate sounds in words. Now, it might be a phonics situation. I don't want to make you dizzy. Let me go here. Let's see here. Is this phonics? Okay. So it might be a phonics situation, right? And again, I have all this stuff here. But it might be like, oh, like we saw on that exam or the exam question, we got short vowel sounds here. Okay. And we blended them with the CVC word. Now, what do? Well, we go into long vowel sounds. It might be a question on, how can we help students with their phonics? Well, we'll start with short vowel sounds and we'll move to long vowel sounds. That's fine. You could do something about, let's see here, working on, sorry, let me find the other, digraphs or doublets or diphthongs. There's all these different things you can pull from. You don't have to memorize them all. Grab one or two you're really good at talking about, hold it in your brain, and when you come to your constructed response, use that. When it comes to fluency, I will say, let me go to fluency. If you get an open response about fluency, repeated reading is my go-to all the time. Because what does repeated reading do? You read it, you reread it, you read it again, you get better. Okay. So that's somewhere in here. Let's see. Repetition and multiple exposures, that kind of thing. I would do that for for fluency. Vocab is teaching words in context, helping students use their semantic and syntactic cues. And that's all in here. Tier 1, 2, and 3 vocabulary. You might want to just grab a few of those things. You don't need to know them all and apply them all. You just need one or two strategies. It's going to ask you to come up with one or two strategies, not 5. So grab the ones you're good with. Then, of course, comprehension. Let's go down to comprehension. Okay, comprehension. If you get a question about comprehension, we want to work on metacognition. So read aloud, think aloud is going to be your best bet here. KWL charts, graphic organizers to organize the information. Those are my go-to. Read aloud, think aloud, graphic organizers. All right, you can talk about those very easily. And you could also using a different informational and literary text, okay? So just make sure when we're talking about the constructed response that you are pulling from the different sections of the skills in the book, okay? So please read the study guide. Don't just do the practice test, because if you just do the practice test, you're not getting the information you need to be successful on the constructed response. Read the book. I'm not in the practice test business. I'm in the study guide teaching teachers how to understand these concepts business. Now, I know we love a practice test. I get it. It feels good. Circle the answer, get it right, go through and check your answers. That's like a very gratifying, instant gratification type of feeling, but it's not going to make you any better on this exam, just doing practice tests over and over again. So please read the book and then be able to apply one or two strategies you see in the book or in the course or in the audio course, and think about that when we are talking about the constructed response. All right, so now let's do some constructed response, okay? I have a new one today, so if you've done this webinar before, I have a new one, but I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. I'm going to give you this after we leave the webinar today. You're going to get it in an email, a PDF of this. So you're going to get the prompt and my response. Okay. Then you can rewatch this and kind of go through it. All right. And then you can be better at figuring that out. All right. So let's go to let's go here. All right, so here's a typical constructed response. It might be bigger than this. It might be smaller than this. Here's the thing. Don't get wrapped up with this. Don't start from here first. Go here. Work backwards. Start with the task. Just like on the multiple choice, I want you to start with the end in mind. Let's go to the task first. Then we can figure it out. Now, this is kind of shorter because I'm on a I'm on a time crunch too, but also this is projected on my screen. Some of them will be longer and more wordy, but that doesn't matter. What matters is the task. And a lot of times you can figure out what you're going to do before even reading the actual scenario. All right, let me show you what I mean. Task. Be sure to respond to both of the following. Oh, I actually added another bullet here today. So let's do all of the following using the information provided in the scenario. All right. Identify 2 strategies Mr. Payton can use to increase students' comprehension skills. Well, I don't even need to read this scenario to figure out what I need to do for comprehension skills. What did I say that I love my go-to ones are? Read aloud, think aloud, RATA. I'll just abbreviate it. Read aloud, think aloud, and graphic organizers. All right, I've already identified my 2. I didn't have to read it. Those things are going to help with comprehension, period. Okay, cool. Next one. Identify how Mr. Payton can measure student success with these strategies. Okay, so we need assessment, right? I like formative. I'll probably use some sort of oral reading inventory, some sort of formative assessment. All right. You could just say formative assessments, observations. That works. Let's say you can't remember any kind of assessment. Guess what you can do? Use formative assessment. Don't worry about it. Okay. And then provide the rationale for each strategy. Okay. Now, I think I forgot to add the paragraph. So I'm going to add it. I'm going to add it live. So bad. Okay. I'm going to add it live while we are talking here. So I'm going to give you a sec. I'm going to go through the first two and then I'm going to add the last one here. All right. So when we do the constructed response, we are going to break it up into paragraphs. All right. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do 2 paragraphs and we are going to, for now, it's going to be 2 paragraphs. Then I'm going to add the 3rd paragraph for the assessment later. But right now I'm going to do these 2 paragraphs and you can see that I have read aloud, think aloud, and I have KWL here. I have my graphic organizer. Each paragraph is its own strategy. Why do I do that? Well, because it's going to help me organize my thoughts and it's going to help the grader figure this out. So let's have a look at this one here. And I get right into it. Here it says, identify 2 strategies. Just get right into it. Don't start with like a whole paragraph on like introduction. Forget it. Oh, you know what? We should probably read this. Let's read the scenario. Mr. Payton is a 4th grade reading teacher. As he and his students read through the text, Mr. Payton notices many of his students struggle to comprehend the text's main idea and key details. Based on previous assessments, Mr. Payton knows his students have a solid grasp of phonics and vocabulary skills. So they have the foundational. However, they are still struggling with comprehension. And this goes to our first bullet. What are 2 strategies he can use? All right, I'm choosing read aloud, think aloud, and a graphic organizer. Let's do it. The first strategy Mr. Payton can use to help his students comprehend text is read aloud, think aloud. To increase metacognition, notice I threw in a good word in there that shows my understanding of these skills. He and his students can read the text together. Then Mr. Payton can model, another good word, his thinking process aloud to students. For example, this shows the reader of my essay that I am getting specific. When reading aloud, Mr. Payton can model how he summarizes, predicts, and processes the story. Now, I added a little more here. He can say, that is interesting. I wonder why, blah, blah, blah. He can also think aloud when it gets difficult. You could stop right here at summarizes, predicts, and processes the story right here. You could get rid of this whole section here and you would be fine. Because remember, you're under a time crunch. I'm adding more here so you have more to look at, but you do not need to have a huge dissertation on this, okay? The next strategy Mr. Payton can use to help students is question generation. Mr. Payton can use a KWL chart to help students organize their questions. So question generation goes with comprehension. KWL charts work. For example, students can fill out the K part of the KWL. What do we already know about the topic? This will help activate background knowledge. Then they could do the W. What do we want to know? These are all questions. Finally, when they are done reading, they can answer the L part. What did we learn? Question generation, big time for comprehension. I could even shorten this paragraph. So what have we done here? Here we are. We have identified 2 strategies, check, and we have provided a rationale for each, check. Now, identify how Mr. Payton can measure student success with these strategies. How do you measure? With assessments. Okay, so really quickly, because I didn't do it, I'm going to do it live. Hang on. Please hold. I've got to pull this up. Where are we? Here we go. I'm going to do it live, which I hate writing live on the air, but we're going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to add a quick slide here just so it doesn't get all crazy. And I'm not sharing screen yet. Give me a second. I want to set it up here. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, so now assessment. All right, let me go back to here. Let me pull this over to here. Okay, now I'm going to share. We're going to write it live. I don't like it. Okay, here we go. All right, so, and let me increase my thing. Let's go 50. All right. Mr. Payton can use formative assessments throughout this, and I have to, okay, there we go. Throughout this process to measure students' understanding and ability. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up here, okay? For example, this is really good here because now I'm telling you, okay, formative assessments is great, but it's a bit of an abstraction here, okay? I need to tell you which type of formative assessments I'm going to use. For example, during the read aloud, think aloud activity, Mr. Payton can walk around the room using observation to drive instructional decisions. So as we're reading, I'm observing and I'm figuring it out. He can then tailor instruction according to students' needs. That could be it. Just the fact that I used formative assessments and observation. I might even say this. This allows him to progress monitor in real time. That's a great justification for using observation. Let's say you want to use something else. Let's say you want to do like an reading inventory or something like that. I'm doing a different one. This would be fine right here. This would be fine, okay? Another one he could do. So Mr. Payton could use that's not how you spell Payton. Sorry, guys. I hate doing that. Mr. Payton can use an informal reading inventory assessment to determine if students are comprehending text. And then I would go in and talk about what an informal reading inventory is. And I would go IRA. In an IRA, students answer comprehension questions to show understanding. Mr. Payton can use this data to make instructional decisions. Notice that both of these paragraphs have the same thing. They have the strategy, but they also have the reason why and why it's important. Again, these are just formative assessments. They're observations and informal reading inventory. You could say summatives. I'm going to use a summative to figure out if they learned what I wanted them to learn over time. All of that works. But notice I gave the assessment, I got specific, and I showed you how he's going to use it. So what I would probably do is attach that to the bottom of this. And I will do that before we send that out to you guys today. All right. Okay, let me go back here. Let me stop sharing. All right, we're going to do the next one. Okay. All right. Oh, did I say compression in here? I always do that. Compression. Yes, compression. Comprehension. There we go. Sometimes the autocorrect sends me to compression instead of comprehension. All right, so let's have a look at another one. This one's a new one that I did today. All right, so let's have a look at this one here. Let's share. I'm back. Hang on, let's go here. I'm back on my regular presentation. All right, so now we're going to talk about Ms. Johnson. All right. I'm going to start here at the task. What can Ms. Johnson do to develop a comprehensive plan to improve her students' reading fluency? Right away, I should be thinking repeated reading, choral reading, echo reading, something along those lines. reading inventories, miscue analysis, anything in the book that has to do with fluency. All right, here we go. Recommend 2 evidence-based strategies to improve the reading fluency. Provide a rationale for each strategy, explaining how it addresses the deficits, and describe 2 assessments. This one's a little more complicated, all right? But still, I can automatically go to reading fluency, partner reading, pairing students up to read. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do repeated reading and partner reads. All of these are great. Both of these are great fluency. I didn't even have to read the scenario yet. I'm going to, but I didn't have to. These are going to be my 2. And the rationale, of course, repeated reading helps multiple exposures help with confidence and understanding and just getting better. Partner reading helps students model good fluency to their partner, and they're more apt to pick that up, right? So check. And describe 2 assessments. I'll probably do a running record and maybe some sort of oral reading inventory type situation. All right, let's read the question. Ms. Johnson, a 3rd grade teacher, has observed that several of her students struggle with reading fluency. These students frequently pause while reading, struggle with word recognition, and read much slower than their peers. Additionally, their lack of fluency affects their comprehension. Okay, yeah. Tell me something I don't know. This is all just repeated stuff I already know. All right, let's go in here. Now, I have 2 versions of this. I have the long version and the short version. Okay, I'm giving you the long version so you have a lot of things to pick from. You do not have to write this. Remember, I wrote the book. I have a doctorate in educational leadership. I know this really, really well. I've been in education a really long time. If you're brand new, it's not going to look like this, and that's okay. You can still do really well on the test. But I give this to you because it's going to help you to kind of study it. All right. And then I made a shorter version here for you as well and made it bigger. Okay, we're going to do both. Let's start with this one here. All right, I'm going right into it. To address the reading fluency deficits Ms. Johnson's 3rd grade students have, 2 evidence-based strategies can be recommended. First, implementing repeated reading. And then I say here, this strategy involves having students read and reread passages multiple times until they've achieved the level of fluency. Repeated reading, here comes the rationale, helps students recognize words more quickly and accurately, reducing the number of pauses and improving the speed and accuracy. Okay? 1. Second, use paired reading, where a more fluent reader, such as a peer or teacher, reads alongside the student. So we're modeling good fluency. It can model fluent reading and immediate feedback. This method supports word recognition and encourages smoother, more confident reading. Now, I have this paragraph here for the rationale, but didn't I sort of already say the rationale here? I talk about how the repeated reading helps students recognize words more quickly, helps with accuracy, helps with speed. There's a rationale. And I have a rationale here for the paired reading. The method supports word recognition, encourages smoother, more confident reading. That's it. I don't have to do this second paragraph here. I added it as extra so you could see specific rationales, but I could go right into my my assessments here. I don't need this second paragraph. All right. I'm going to read it to you because it is more stuff you can choose from, but you don't need it. You could cross it out. The rationale for these strategies is grounded in their ability to address specific deficits identified. Repeated reading directly tackles the issue of word recognition and reading speed. I already said that in the first paragraph. All right. Paired reading provides scaffolded, good word learning experience where the struggling reader benefits from hearing fluent reading received and corrective feedback. Okay. All good words there. It's not bad. I mean, you don't have to eliminate it, but you don't need it. You could get rid of it. And then finally, the last task here, which was this bullet here, describe 2 assessments. To monitor progress, Mr. Johnson can use 2 assessment methods, oral reading fluency and running records. Right away, I tell you what they are. If I go on and on about intros and all this stuff and not telling you, it's going to be harder on the person grading your essay. Say it right off the bat. Here are 2 assessments he can use. Boom. Oral reading fluency and running records. ORF assessments involve having students read a passage aloud for 1 minute, during which the teacher records number of words read correctly. This provides a clear measure. Here's the rationale of speed and accuracy. Here's my second one. Running records involve observing and noting errors. These are kind of the same assessment. This person just broke it up into two different ones. Self-corrections and students' behavior, and then you can go over the miscues. By regularly using these assessment tools, Ms. Johnson can gather meaningful data to inform her instruction. Good words, good words, good words. Again, I don't need this here. I could have just done it with those two. Let's have a look at this last one here. This is a shorter version of what I just did. To improve the reading fluency of our third grade students, Ms. Johnson can use two evidence-based strategies: repeated reading, paired reading. Then I go in, repeated reading, I tell you a little bit about it, and then the rationale. This helps them recognize words faster, more smoothly. Now I get into the second one. Pair reading involves having more fluent reader like a peer or teacher, blah, blah, blah. And then I have it here. This provides a model of fluent reading. Right here, I name the activities and I give the rationale. Okay. Then I go here. To monitor progress, we can use the reading fluency, the oral reading fluency, and running records. And then I go in there the same way I did before. Notice I could have removed that second paragraph and I still hit all the things. People say, well, how many paragraphs does it need to be? Nowhere in here does it say how many paragraphs. How many words does it need to be? Nowhere does it say how many words. You could essentially do this in one paragraph if you wanted to, if you were really good. I recommend a little bit more writing so that you have more opportunity to kind of get your point across. But here's what these things have in common. Number one, I clearly state exactly what I'm trying to do. I use the bullets in this thing here to talk about what I'm going to do. So right here, two evidence-based strategies. I say it in my writing. Okay. And then I say exactly what they are and why they help. And I get specific. I don't just say, oh, they can do fluency strategies. Okay, which ones? How? What do they do? Show me, don't tell me. Show me. Repeated reading involves having students read the same passage multiple times. This helps them recognize words. I'm getting specific. All right. Then here, I could have just said, to monitor progress, Ms. Johnson can use a variety of formative assessments. Formative assessments help inform instruction. Too vague. Get specific. She can use oral reading inventory or oral reading fluency and running records. I got specific on the things I'm going to use. Then I describe them specifically. And then I say specifically why they work. Specificity is so important here. Okay. All right, let me stop. So remember, for the constructed response, number one, you're going to pull from some of the information you read in the book. And the constructed response or the open response is going to go from phonemic or phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocab, comprehension, or writing. You might have a writing one as well. Grab two strategies from the book that you think are helpful and then think of them. Notice that when I work backwards on my constructed response, I already have an idea of what I'm writing about before I get lost in the scenario. Because in those bullets, it's going to say, how can they improve comprehension? How can they help with fluency? You don't need to read the scenario to figure that out. You know your fluency strategies. You know your comprehension strategies. You know your phonics strategies, okay? Then make sure we're specific and we're organized. Please, I see this happen a lot with graduate students, okay? You guys are really smart. You've got graduate degrees, and you decide that the test day is the day you're going to show everybody just how smart you are. And you write these long, crazy, over-the-top constructed response, and then you wonder why you didn't get a good grade. The grader does not want a philosophical conversation about whatever. They want you to do the task. Identify the strategies, tell me why they're important, give me the assessments, why they are important. That's it. Don't go around the world to tell them the thing you're trying to tell them. Think about it. I was an English teacher. I would get bad essay after bad essay after bad essay, and it was like just gobbledygook, just crap, because they were new. They didn't know what they were doing. And if you are an English teacher, you know that's like banging your head against a brick wall, right? And then you get that one essay that's simple, to the point, organized, boom, boom, boom. And you're like, oh my gosh, this kid is a genius. And it really isn't that the kid is a genius. He or she or they just organized it for you. They did the task. They didn't try to tell you a bunch of other things you weren't asking for. So do that for the reader of your essays for the exams. Okay. All right. So that concludes, but let me take some questions here. Will they ask for 2 examples or will they ask for 3? They might ask for 2. They might ask for 3, Meredith. I don't know. I don't know what questions you are going to get. So just make sure you have a few in mind in your head after reading the study guide and all of that. Okay. How would you tackle the analysis-based Texas prompts? They're going to give you a set of data. Look at the data. They'll probably be in there, summarize the data. You can say, Jose is low in phonics. Kimberly is low in phonemic awareness. I would do a running record for Jose. Or what did I say? Phonics? Did I say phonics for Jose? Sorry. I would work on vowel teams for him. I would work on running record with Sally or whatever. It's all the same. They're just loading you up with a scenario. They just need you to identify strategies you would use, rationalize it. Why are you using it? And then assess them. That's what teaching reading is. Finding the deficit. Okay, we got a problem in phonemic awareness. We got a problem in phonics. We got a problem in fluency. Identifying it, prescribing a strategy or 2 or 3, and then measuring the success of the strategy and making decisions moving forward. That's what you got to do. It doesn't matter how big the data set is. In fact, I've seen it. I didn't even have to look at the data set and I could still get good grade on the writing. Look at it. You can pull from it. I'm just saying it's there, but you don't need it if the task is detailed enough. Can you show us an example for the Fort 190 constructed response? I have them on my YouTube channel. I don't have them ready for you today. All right. Okay. Some are saying in Wisconsin, you have to complete multiple choice first and submit before you can move on. Okay, Leslie, good point. Some tests combine the multiple choice and then the writing. Okay, where you do it all in one thing. So you have like 2 hours for the test, and within that 2 hours, you have to finish the multiple choice or selected response, and then you do the writing. Some, like Leslie is saying in Wisconsin, you submit your multiple choice, and then the clock starts for the time you have for the writing. It just depends on the test. Some group it together. Either way, it's fine. Remember, think about your multiple choice. You answered all these questions on the multiple choice using your good words, right? I've been telling you about working backwards in good words. Use those same good words in your writing and it'll stand out for the grader, and the grader will go, oh, she has pedagogical knowledge, or he has knowledge in reading instruction. When you use those good words, it shows the reader that you understand what you're talking about, which is one of the main things in the rubrics. Now, people will say, again, how many paragraphs, how many words? Nowhere in any of these rubrics does it outline the number of words. What it does say is strong content knowledge, which means you read the study guide and you understand all the different strategies and how to apply them. Next is being specific, outlining specifics. And the third is keeping it organized and cohesive. Those are usually the 3 main things in the writing rubrics. Nowhere does it say 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, 1,800 words, 10,000 words. Nowhere. Just keep it simple and make sure you are letting them know exactly what they're asking for in the bullets. Okay. Will we be allowed a whiteboard to help map out thinking? Yes, Abby, you will either get scratch paper or a whiteboard, something like that, and it will be destroyed after you take the exam. So that's where mapping really helps. You can map out your 2 or 3 strategies, throw in some good words so you don't forget them, right? Scaffolding, differentiation, monitoring progress, putting those words down on paper so you can go, oh, let me include this. Because if you just start writing, you won't remember that. Very good. Great question. Okay. Is the elementary test going to have it writing on it? It depends, Allie, which elementary test you are taking. Most of the elementary tests for Praxis do not. But the elementary reading, the 5205 does. So it just depends on which test. And again, you're going to just pull from the information you learned in the study guide. All right. Let me show you a couple more free resources, guys. I know that you have to go and I really appreciate you. We've had almost 250 people on live. The webinars are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's awesome. All right. So let me go to my website. First, there are a ton of free resources on my website under free webinars here. So today we're doing the Praxis 5205. Next week, I'm doing Start Your School Year Off with Success. If you're new teachers, I'm going to go over classroom management, lesson planning, just the things you need to know so that you are good that first year. It's going to help you a lot. I have old webinars here for the replay, early childhood, ESOL, 5001, how to lesson plan, PLT. Somebody in the comments were asking about PLT. This is all under my free webinars tab here. All right. Then, of course, we have the study guide. So this is the paid stuff. So let's go to the Teaching Reading 5205. You can see here when you buy the study guide, you're getting a digital version that you can save to your computer. You can buy the study guide and the online course together. If you want to use the 20% off coupon with our email, you can uncheck these here and add them separately to your cart. And then you can use the 20%. Automatically, you get 15%. But if you'd like that extra 5%, you can add them separately to your cart because you can only use one offer code at once. So if you're in the webinar and you got the code, you can apply that by adding them separately or deactivating the code once you're in checkout and putting in the new code that you got from this webinar. When you buy the online course or the audio course, it comes through our learning module and you can use it on your phone. It's great. A lot of people are using it like a podcast. I love auditory stuff. I walk, I run, I listen to books on tape when I'm running, all that. So I'm just that kind of a learner. So that's great. And I would definitely pair it with the study guide because the audio is just like, it's an overview and stuff. Whereas the study guide really helps show you the concepts. And then if you're interested in the physical copy, so again, you order from our website, it's a digital copy emailed to you immediately after you purchase that you can save on your device or save on your computer, right? But you might be, I want a physical copy. Just click this link here, go to Amazon. You can see we have a ton of 5-star reviews here. Please choose Prime. I know they have some used options here. People have run into a lot of problems and they get upset with us from getting the used option. The used is someone else who bought it and they're selling you their product. It's going to have writing in it. I can't control that. Okay. So go to Prime, make sure it's a brand new book, unless you don't mind writing in the book, but you only save a few bucks. I would definitely get it new. And it comes, in a couple of days. Now there are third-party sellers, you guys, and I can't control them. Buy from Kathleen Jasper EDD on Amazon. Now, we cannot offer you the offer code on Amazon because it's KDP. Amazon's a publisher. I can't offer discounts. So if you want a physical copy, you just have to buy it regular. But if you do want a discount, you can buy it on the website here. All right. The other thing we have is the online course. Now, the online course has, where are we? 5205. Oh, there we are. I'm like, where is it? The 5205 is all of the videos that I have and the book. So let me show you this here. This is the 5205. So you download the study guide, PDF, got everything you need there, that big book that I went through today. Then each content category has, like this one's 18 minutes, some are 20 minutes, some are 30 minutes, right? Then there's a quiz for that section that follows the book. Then there's another video that explains. I go through, as you can see here, I go through like I did today. I go through all of these here. All right. So the quiz videos plus the overview do really, really well here. And then there is comprehensive constructed response help here. So I go through even more constructed response videos here for you. Okay. Now, besides that, let's say you want more free stuff and you just don't want to pay. Fine. Go to my YouTube channel. Go under teaching reading here. I have tons of videos here. I also have the 5206 if you guys are taking the 5206. I have tons of videos here. You can kind of piece together what you want. Okay. It all works. I just did one this week for your teaching reading constructed response. If you want more help there, this playlist here has tons and tons of videos for teaching reading specifically. And I'm on TikTok, which I'm live right now on TikTok, but I think you can only go live for an hour, so it probably already shut off. But I'm here, short version of videos. If you like TikTok, I'm obsessed with TikTok. I love it. I don't care. It's so much fun. So I'm on there as well. We are going to send you an email with all of the information we talked about today and links to get all this stuff. So don't worry about that. Give us about, 20 minutes or so, and then you can watch the replay. So this is all of the ways in which you can study for the exam. There's lots of different ways: visual, auditory, free, paid, whatever you want. We've got it. So hopefully that helps you there. Okay. All right. Jay Blakely, thank you for all your hard work and the time spent sharing with us. Oh, thank you so much. Good words. You found the good words and working backwards helpful. Thank you so much, Jay Blakely. I really appreciate that. All right. If I have the book, how can I get the online product? Okay, here's the deal. One more thing. If you bought the physical book from Amazon and you're like, I want the online course, send us a screenshot of your purchase of the physical book with your name visible, please. We need to know that you purchased it. You don't have to put your address, just put your name in there, and we will give you a discount that applies the price of the book to the course. You don't get the course for free. People are like, I want the course now, I bought the book. No, you have to pay for the course. It's very extensive, but we will apply the price you paid for the book on Amazon. Now, if you already bought the book from our website and you want to upgrade, we can find you on the website. I can't find you on Amazon. That's why you have to send the screenshot. So send the screenshot. We will give you a discount for the amount you paid for the book. Because the course comes with the book, we'll take that off of the price of the course. The course will not be free, but it will be whatever it is, $29.99 off or whatever you paid for it. We'll see what you paid for it, minus the tax. We're not going to reimburse you for the tax. Sorry about that, because we have to pay tax too. All right. Thank you. You've given me the confidence to take the Praxis. Yes, do it. You've got this. What about Florida teachers? I don't prep for the Florida exams. However, everything I talked about today is going to help you. So we're not specifically talking about Florida, but these are reading skills and they cross all state boundaries. Okay. All right. If you have any questions, you can email us at info@kathleenjasper.com. I really, really, really appreciate you guys spending your Saturday with me. Go relax, do something. Consider picking up my new book, Teach a Survival Guide for New Educators. We'll link this up in the email as well. It's a good summer read, quick. It just will help you with your first year, 3 years of teaching. And I'm so thrilled you guys are becoming teachers and taking the steps towards doing that. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll be in touch in just a few minutes with an email. Bye.